Good afternoon. Today we're having another interview in our talk series in preparation for the upcoming 8th annual Black Sea Oil and Gas online conference. And today we're speaking with Peter Zeilinger, Executive Board Member responsible for Upstream at OMV Petrom. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hello, Maria. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm fine. How are you today?
Good, good. So let's then start. I'd like to start with my first question of actually common interest across the industry. It's how would you describe the attractiveness of the energy sector in the Black Sea region?
I think there could be more done on the attractiveness. And I think after the Black Sea has been dormant for many, many decades after the North Sea, for example, kicked off, I think it's waking up. That's what I would see it. Not for Petrom, because we have been in the Black Sea for 40 years, but especially the deep areas of the Black Sea, I think, are now finally waking up, especially after the big wake-up call that the Turkish published just recently.
That's true. And if you could change one thing in the region for a better investment climate, what it can be and why?
I think there's a lot of education, a lot of discussion to be done with regulators and governments, decision makers, that exploration is a long-term business. And what I would like to change is actually to somehow to repeat the success that the Norwegians had. And if I compare the Black Sea, for example, with the North Sea or the Norwegian Sea, and the North Sea is more the shallow part of the Black Sea, and the Norwegian Sea is rather the deep part of the Black Sea. And you see that especially the Norwegian regulator has managed to attract investment rather to deter investment. And the Norwegian Sea is accessible. It's a harsh climate, but it's much easier accessible than the Black Sea. The Black Sea has been dormant because there was a big hurdle to come into the Black Sea, actually, which is the Bosphorus and the Bosporus Bridge. Now, but apart from that, I think there are many, many similarities. So what I would like to see is actually that people are understanding what great potential is in front of our doorsteps, and that it needs entrepreneurs, that it needs risk money to come in and to explore for something that certainly will be there, but we don't know exactly where it is. And therefore you need to incentivize. You need to incentivize risk takers to come and spend risk money on prospects to be found.
It's true. And then can you, Peter, share with us what is the current strategy to expand OMV Petrom upstream activities in the region?
Well, you might have seen our recent announcements, and I'm very proud to see that we have now made the next steps. I mean, actually, as I said, Petrom is in the Black Sea shallow waters since 40 years. Now, we are experienced in offshore operations, but I think, as I said, the comparison to the Norwegian Sea, the big ridges and the big fields, they are in the deep water. Now, with the Neptune discovery or the Domino discovery in 2012, we got a glimpse of what is possible. And with the Turkish discovery of Tuna now, which, by the way, means Danube, so it is a bit connected to our area, there we see what is possible and what still is to be found. Now, we have managed to step out a bit, and not too far, just on the other side of the border of our Romanian bloc. And as I always say, geology doesn't stop at the border. So we are very proud to be now on the Bulgarian side, which we can bring our expertise and our knowledge from the geology that we have seen on the Romanian side. But we also wanted to do a step out into the Georgian deep water, which is right now opening up. And there's always a balance between prospectivity and business climate. And I think if I look at prospectivity in the Western Black Sea, Tuna, Domino, but also the Bulgarian Black Sea is very good in prospectivity. And on the other side, on the business climate of Georgia is very well known for their very high ranking in business climate. So we want to utilize our experience, but we also want to make sure that we don't losing out. And we want to become a regional partner, the partner of choice in the Black Sea.
That's great. I hope it will happen that way. Great. You'll be participating and speaking at our annual Black Sea Oil and Gas conference. Can you shortly tell me and share with the audience what will be your presentation about?
Actually, I'm trying to a bit. I don't think the audience that I'm addressing has to be woken up, but maybe this is a bit of a speaking notes also for some policy makers and regulators to first of understand what great potential we have in terms of an underexplored, being rather late in the exploration phase from compared to other countries in the Black Sea now, that we still have that to be explored is frontier, but I think we should call it emerging now. We should call it an awaking giant, if you want. And actually, I would like to make sure that we see it what it is. It's a great opportunity in front of the doorsteps of the European gas market. We all want to become greener. We all want to phase out hydrocarbons in terms of cleaner hydrocarbons. Gas is the fuel of choice. Gas is the transition fuel. And if you have that fuel in front of your markets with the connections being built as we speak, now this is great. So I want that everybody recognizes that. And then maybe we look a bit on the investor climate. We look a bit on the taxation, especially for gas. And then we see that there's something a bit to improve, I would say, in order to repeat the success that the Norwegians did in the 70s. But the Norwegians are now pulling off a great success again after this crisis where they attract capital because they're very fast turned around and said, what do I need to incentivize investors? How do I bring people to my country and to my prospective reserves? And this is what we, I think, can learn from it and hopefully do it as well in the Black Sea.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter, for your time and this great discussion we have today. And I hope we'll see each other at the conference then.
Thanks for having me and looking forward to the conference. Thank you.
Goodbye.